I think, if you're looking for, people that are going to last, you need to, have some, I don't want to say filters, but I think, when you're meeting with people, you should, as I said earlier, you should be setting the right expectations for people. You should have standards as to who am I going to hire. And I think that's one of the challenges, Charles, is a lot of times, we go out, we get our real estate license, or somebody's been doing it long enough. They open a brokerage and they just take anybody that shows up. Like anybody's like, oh, hey, I want to work with you. Okay, great. Come on in. Instead of having a standard saying, well, hey, I want to let you know that if you come work for me, I want you to be full-time. For me, I would say, come negotiate. I mean, if you're going to give my seller an offer that they're happy with, most sellers I know, as long as they understand what's going on, I don't think they would have an issue saying, hey, you know what, to get this deal done, sure, I'll give away an extra $5,000 or whatever it is, right? Technology is going to disrupt the real estate space. And I like to use the travel agent as an example. I still remember my first trip overseas, well, not necessarily overseas, but my first trip to Bahamas, where I had to get a passport to go, right? I had to travel. And this is 25 years ago, about 25 years ago. We literally had to go downtown Worcester to the travel agent's office, sit down with the travel agent. She pulled up everything for us, picked out our flights, right? Created an itinerary. There was no other way to do it.
Welcome to another episode of the Global Investors Podcast. I'm your host, Charles Carillo. Today we have David Hill. He has been a top producing real estate agent for over 21 years with over 35 years of experience as a phone sales trainer. David spent 17 years at Keller Williams as a trainer and 3 years at EXP Realty. In his first year at Keller Williams in 2002, David sold 42 homes through phone prospecting, far surpassing the average of only 6 homes per rep. He became one of 100 national sales trainers for Keller Williams to help train their 140,000 plus agents. In 2020, David left real estate sales to pursue his dream of training and coaching. So thank you so much for being on the show today, David.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so it's awesome that we have someone on here that's a sales professional that really spends their time in the real estate realm. So before you becoming a sales and marketing coach, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, both personally and professionally?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm a father. I have 3 amazing daughters, ages 32, 9, and 6, if that gives you the spread. Amazing wife, married for 14 years. And yeah, I'm just blessed, as far as that, family man. And then my business, 35 years I've been in sales. I started a long time ago at a call center for Kirby, those vacuum cleaners. And
was that door to door? Is that started?
No, I was the guy in the call center that set up the appointment for you. Yep. Like I never went door to door for Kirby, but I set up the appointments for the guys that went door to door. And then from that, I ended up working for Chase or a credit card company. But, 30 years ago or 32 years ago, you could call people and get them to do a credit card application on over the phone. And thank God they changed that, because I didn't realize, I was just doing my job, but there were probably a lot of people that shouldn't have been doing credit card applications, And then I went into publishing. We published a magazine. I helped to build a regional magazine by cold calling telephone books and just door to door. That's when I went door to door, business to business. And then I got into real estate in 2002 and ended up working my way all the way to the top up Keller Williams to be in Gary Keller's mastermind group with the top 100. And just I've been in sales my whole life. I love it. I've written a book on it. And so it's part of my DNA, man.
So why did you choose real estate out of everything else? I mean, every industry has selling at some point. Why would you choose real estate?
It's interesting. A good question. I mean, I chose it. I didn't necessarily choose real estate. My 10-year back at, my 33-year-old, back then was 10. And she came to me and she said, Dad, you should get your real estate license. mom's friend Sue makes a lot of money selling real estate. And I was thinking like, yeah, do I not make enough money or something? But anyway, I thought about it. At the time I said that doesn't make sense, but I woke up the next morning and it was on my mind to get my real estate license. So I ended up going, doing the schooling for it, the 40 hours or whatever it was back then. And the rest is history, man. I mean, it's opened up so many doors for me. Focusing on the real estate, it's everything that I've done over the last 21 years really has been an extension of me growing my real estate business.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So one thing, when you said you're a sales trainer for real estate investors, real estate agents, mostly, and so I read a stat on Investopedia that stated that most real estate agents fail in their first year, while I read another one that's saying it was within their first 8 months. So, I mean, there's so many real estate agents out there, not many of them last. What makes a real estate agent fail or go past that for a year and on their route to being successful?
Yeah, I think it's expectations first off coming into it. I think a lot of times people think it's easy. And if you looked at real estate in general, the 1.5 million real estate agents out there, I'm sure that number is going to go way down based on what's happening now. But the majority of them only sell 6 houses a year. Because they just, they have a license, they know people. When somebody they know, knows them, they'll reach out to them. Hey, I want to sell my house. Oh, great. Amazing. They come over and they list it. And, that can typically happen for most people, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, just because of the people, if you're a good guy, if you're a good person, good lady. Right. But the challenge is when you try to make a career out of that, now it's like, okay, I got to go find other people that don't know me yet. And I don't know. And I've got to reach out to them and I've got to get uncomfortable and I've got to be persistent. I have to have follow up. And that's where I think a lot of agents, they don't have the right expectation going in that this is going to be it's going to be work. This is not just like, hey, because people say like, hey, you know what, man, you're such a nice guy, Charles. You should be a salesperson. Well, being a nice guy is fine, but it does not equate to being really great at sales.
No, I can say, yeah, you're starting your own business. So I don't think
right.
people really understand that. And then, maybe they don't choose a brokerage or something like that. That's really,
that's part of it.
Helps with them. I mean, that gives them support or whatever. But, so, years back, I became a real estate agent and, usually I use it just for making referrals. But, I realized that while getting it, you get on a lot of mailing lists and like recruiting agents is like super competitive. So I imagine you work a lot with brokers building up their agent bases. I mean, how does that work? I mean, how can brokers find good agents? Maybe ones that are already experienced or maybe other ones. I mean, how do they sort through maybe the ones that aren't going to be 100% serious and find ones to put on their team that are a little bit more serious?
So during my my journey, I don't know if this isn't in my bio, but I was a team leader for Keller Williams for 2 years, and we recruited over 200 agents into that office in Hartford, Connecticut. It was me, and I had a small team of administrators and people that helped with like onboarding and stuff. And I think if you're looking for people that are going to last, you need to have some I don't want to say filters, but I think, when you're meeting with people, you should, as I said earlier, you should be setting the right expectations for people. You should have standards as to who am I going to hire. And I think that's one of the challenges, Charles, is a lot of times, we go out, we get our real estate license, or somebody's been doing it long enough, they open a brokerage and they just take anybody that shows up. Like anybody's like, oh, hey, I want to work with you. Okay, great. Come on in. Instead of having a standard saying, well, hey, I want to let you know that if you come work for me, I want you to be full-time. You can't have a part-time job. And that's going to eliminate 70% right there. Just say, because most people, the reason they're not successful beyond what I said earlier is that they can't dedicate enough time because they already have a job. And then saying, hey, you know what? Another standard we're going to have is I'm going to want you to talk to at least 20 people a week, like have conversations. Because when you do that, you're going to be more successful. Oh yeah, I'm willing to do that. Great. I think just setting them up for success, and I think that one of the challenges is, real estate agents join, their friend told them it was easy. They think it's easy. They watch the shows on TV, $1 Million Listing, and they think that's how it is. And it's not. I mean, some days you'll get a day like that, but most days it's not like that. It's you on phones. It's emailing people, texting, going to networking events, reaching out, following up 10 times. But that's not the glamorous part that I think a lot of us see. So I don't even know if I answered your question on recruiting, but I think it's just getting out there and having conversations and talking to agents that are looking for something better.
Yeah, I never thought about the full-time one. That's huge. I was reading a stat years back that was like 60% of agents, that work 60 hours a week or whatever it is, or the agents that work 60 hours a week are the ones that are making like over $150,000 a year on average, whatever it was. And it's like a huge difference with people that are just part-time. So you really have to kind of go all in on it. And I think, like, you're right, most people don't. And a lot of those marketing emails I would get from brokers, it would all be about price, right? There wasn't anything like assisting with it. It was all price. And
when you say price, you're referring to like our percentage is lower, right?
The brokerage fees were lower, right? Just to get more money. But it wasn't, I saw a couple that came across that were like, that were much more making you a business partner and training you, you know what I mean, in their company. And I saw, and they're like, we have a lot of leads, we have this, we have that, we do full time. And, obviously that person's not getting as many people reaching out to them. There's not someone that just sends me something, oh, it's $350 for every closed thing and good luck. You know what I mean? And you have no idea what you're doing, and which makes it risky for the broker too, because now they're actually, their insurance and their name is on the line with this person just going kind of rogue. You know what I mean? But because you don't learn that much. And you learn some stuff in the going through all the exams and all the stuff like that, but not really, a ton of stuff. It's like,
not to sell. You don't, they don't teach anything in selling real estate. Right. It's just how to get licensed and not go to real estate jail. Right.
So there was there was a big thing that happened in the news for real estate agents. It was the NAR lawsuit. And, I hear different things when I talk. I've spoken to a couple of real estate agents about it, because this happened about a month ago or so, or a couple of weeks ago from this time. But it was, some people are in like kind of denial. Some people don't really know about it, in the sense of like where, and I don't know either. That's why I'm asking them. But, can you give us a little background about what this is, and then, what your take is on it for agents?
Yeah, well, I'll just disclaim first, I'm not an expert on it. I'm not an attorney. So I can give you my opinion on it. And I know it's been going on. I've known about it for years. It's actually been going on since 2019. There's been talks of it, I think started around 2017, but the case has actually been bouncing around. It's turning into something very big right now. That's going to definitely, my thought is it's going to change the industry forever. It's going to change the way that we sell real estate. And I think that the thing that really brought it on, in my opinion, is real estate agents not explaining really how the commission works to the seller. So I think most real estate agents would show up and say, hey, I charge 6% or I charge 5%. And that was the extent of it. And then they would offer half of that out to another agent, which does not represent the seller. It would almost be like paying an attorney, like saying, hey, my attorney charges you $20,000 to take your case, and then brings in another attorney to negotiate against you to represent the other party and gives them half your money. I mean, that's kind of maybe not the greatest metaphor, but it in a way, it helps you understand, because essentially what you're doing is you're compensating somebody else to come in and negotiate against you. Now, one of the things that we started doing a long time ago, somebody taught me this, maybe it was in 2015, was when somebody says, well, how much do you charge? I would say, I charge 3%. And you're going to start hearing everybody do this now. I charge 3 or whatever you charge. It doesn't have to be 3, whatever you charge. And then let's figure out how much we want to pay the other agents. And I would explain to the seller, hey, we could offer this, we could offer this. And, the more you offer, the more incentivized they're going to be, but they understand it. And now here's the challenge that brought this lawsuit is the seller wasn't able to say, I don't want to offer them anything. Or they could say, well, I don't want to offer them anything. And then we as realtors would say, well, that, you're probably not going to get any showings. No one's going to cooperate. But I think now, this is my thought, and we're already seeing it. I think in New York has already implemented it. I believe New Jersey is you're going to start to see the MLS that's going to be offering zero compensation to buyer's agents, and then the buyer agent will either get paid from the client themselves, or they could just come negotiate. Like for me, I would say, come negotiate. I mean, if you're going to give my seller an offer that they're happy with, most sellers I know, as long as they understand what's going on, I don't think they would have an issue saying, hey, you know what, to get this deal done, sure, I'll give away an extra $5,000 or whatever it is. Right. That's my thought process. But I think the challenge is when you don't explain it the right way, which is ultimately what's created this lawsuit. Now, is it gonna, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. I mean, I think it is. I think there's Chicago, I believe, just filed. New York now, they're filing. So it's starting to pop up everywhere. So it's at the least, Charles, it's going to change the way we sell real estate moving forward when it comes to having buyer's agency and who's paying the buyer and such.
Yeah, because it's a normal thing when I talk to agents here. I'm like, oh, it's a normal thing, outside the country for you to, just like you said, the attorney is a great example, I feel, is where if you're in a business transaction, I'm buying a business from you, you're going to have your own attorney, I'm going to have my own attorney, you're going to pay your attorney, I'm going to pay my attorney, and I'm going to find my own attorney, and then, we put them together. And I think that's, people don't like hearing that here, but I'm like, that's something that like happens in the rest of the world, and the commissions are much smaller too. You go to these other countries and the agent commissions are much less than, let's say, 2.5 or 3% on each side. But every transaction is different. I mean, it depends on what people are doing. But do you have money sitting in the stock market and you're worried about it? Or worse, you have money sitting at the bank, not keeping up with inflation? My name is Charles Carillo, founder and managing partner of Harborside Partners. And since 2006, I've been investing my money and my family's money into income-producing properties. These are real assets, real properties with real addresses that produce real cash flow. At Harborside Partners, we provide passive investors who love real estate with a turnkey investing solution. If you want to put your money to work in real estate but can't find deals, don't have the time to get funding, and the last thing that productive people want to do is manage real estate. We find the deals, we fund the deals, and we manage the tenants, the termites, and the properties. Partner with us at investwithharborside.com. That's investwithharborside.com. Go to investwithharborside.com. If you love real estate, you like the idea of passive income, and believe that income-producing properties will appreciate over time, go to investwithharborside.com. That's investwithharborside.com. With one other thing further into the kind of disrupting the traditional business model here in the United States is that, you have large companies like Zillow, I guess Redfin, all these other companies that are out there that are really, they have MLS listings on their website, but they're really taking and scraping a lot of web data, and they're really being almost an in-between marketplace for agents and buyers. Where do you see that? I mean, in the future, do you see, how does that work into disrupting the real estate agency kind of business that's traditionally been around?
I think you could probably go to my YouTube channel and go back 10 years and hear me talking about this, because technology is going to disrupt the real estate space. And I like to use the travel agent as an example. I still remember my first trip overseas, well, not necessarily overseas, but my first trip to Bahamas, where I had to get a passport to go, right? I had to travel. And this is 25 years ago, about 25 years ago. We literally had to go downtown Worcester to the travel agent's office, sit down with the travel agent. She pulled up everything for us, picked out our flights, right? Created an itinerary. There was no other way to do it, right? Now, obviously, to go to Bahamas, I can just go to Expedia or Travelocity. And now there's most people are going to do that. But see, not everybody's going to do that, Charles. There's still, I just took a trip to Hawaii and I didn't know where to stay. I didn't know I didn't want to deal with it. So what did I do? Is I went and I called a travel agent. And honestly, I won't call this travel agent again because they weren't unfortunately that good. But I still will find a travel agent now that knows the area, knows where to stay, knows what to do, and can guide me through that process. Now, there's going to be people that want that, Charles, but there's also going to be a lot of people that say, hey, I'm just going to go do this myself. And I think to your question, the Zillows of the world, whether it's Zillow or whether somebody creates a national MLS, a public facing national MLS, I think that is a possibility. And then to finish with that, I was on a call last week with a group of people, and one of the gentlemen was an older gentleman, and he was sharing about his elderly mother lives out in very affluent. They live outside of Beverly Hills, California, and he was sharing how she is selling her house and how it is such an emotional process for her. She's lived there her whole life. This is a multi-million dollar home, and how important it was for her to select the right agent. Going back to the travel agent story I shared, right? And so, yes, there's going to be a good percentage, maybe more than half, that will probably, move towards technology. But then there's going to be the people like that lady and other people that say, hey, I want somebody to represent me. I want somebody to hold my hand through this. So I think, I don't think it's going away. Just like the travel agent. Yes, most travel agents are gone, but there are still travel agents out there. And the ones that are out there typically do really well right now.
Yeah, I think that's true. I don't see the model going away 100%. And I think some people kind of, they get really excited and say, oh, it's all going to be gone. No, I think you're going to have people that, selling a house, buying a house, it's a lot of work. You know what I mean? And if you have someone that's working alongside you that knows exactly that can, filter through results and potential sellers and buyers, I think that is something that has a lot of value. But, there will be, like you said, there's people that book their own trips themselves, and still travel agents around. It's just maybe it's a little different of what they service they offer now. But you said something earlier on about the 1.5 million agents, and I have to say, I went through like 07, 08 when I was buying properties, investment properties. And when I got to 09, 08, even 08, end of 08, 09, when I was buying properties from, maybe from 06 was the last time I bought, and the whole business was just, it would been shaken up. There was whole new agents I had to work with. Inspectors weren't around. Like the whole business changed. People were out. You know what I mean? Whole different career path. And I think that's, and I found when I was dealing with agents like in 08 and 09, really professional agents I found, the ones that were still in there that really were valuable. They really had clients and books of business that they had built over the years. And I think a lot of that fluff just got cleaned out. Maybe more so than a normal downturn, and maybe more so of what you're saying might happen here. But it's just, it's true that you have a lot of these people that are kind of filtered through, so the good ones stand out.
100%. Yeah.
So working with a lot with sales strategies with, people that are always working on phones, obviously real estate agents, what are some sales strategies that maybe you worked through that were common with some of your agents that you trained at some of the brokerages?
I think for us, I've been using a strategy for a long time. Really, it's different, 5 steps, which, step 1 is really just like, how do you greet people, introduce yourself to people. At the beginning of any sales process really starts with making a connection, building rapport at a certain level. You got to know who you're with too, right? Like if you meet with me, I'm a high D. There doesn't need to be a lot of rapport building. I just want to get into it. Right. So I think that's part of it too. Or you meet with other people. There's going to be people like, if you don't build rapport, this person's gonna be like, I don't like this person. They don't care about me. And you're going to be done. So you got to know first off, who are you dealing with behaviorally? How do they, are they a D, I, S, or C? I think that's important. Then, you get into your fact finding, asking great questions. We got to practice asking deeper questions, figure out really like what are people's goals, their challenges, what's keeping them up at night. I think most real estate agents, from my experience, Charles, they don't even know like half the thing. Like, well, my client's moving to Florida. Great. Florida's amazing. Why? Wow, they like nice weather. Really? Okay, good. Nice weather. Why else? They don't even know most times. It's not all. The good ones do. But, you figure out like why people are doing what they're doing. And then, third, you have a demo. You gotta know how to present. And when you talk about presenting, it's presenting to the challenges. It's not just showing up. Like I remember when I first got my license, I joined a team, the Steve Clements team, and he had a good guy. He taught me a lot. He taught me FISBOs, but he had a binder, and we would sit down at the table and he would go through every page of the binder, and we do this, and he'd flip the page and we do this. And you could see the people, like in the first like 2 appointments I went on with him, he didn't get either listing. And I'm like, this is a mess, cause who cares about all that? Give people what they want, right? Demo. Closing and handling objections is the next step. Teach people how to be effective with just asking for the close, being confident. And if somebody says no, ask more questions, help them make a decision, handle objections, and then finally follow up. 80% of our business comes from follow up anyway. So having really, really good follow up systems in place, it's critical. We do a webinar, by the way, if it's all right. Every Thursday, Charles. It's you can just go to davidsfreewebinar.com, and almost every Thursday, not every single Thursday, but at least 3 times a month, we do a sales training on Thursdays. It's free. You just go to davidsfreewebinar.com. You can jump on tomorrow. We're talking about follow up. So I just kind of laid out the whole sales process, but yeah, I mean, and so what I can do is I come in, I work with business owners now and businesses and appointment setters, and I'll look at their process and I'll say, okay, here's some things that we can help make better for you.
So it's really interesting. I have a friend that's a really good wholesaler, and he would tell me that he would stay on the phone with people as long as he could, 45 minutes, and he wouldn't even talk about the property. And he would just like build a rapport with them. He's like, and like the last 5-10 minutes, we talk about the property and what they're trying to do. But it was like, he's like, I have extremely high closing on that, because most people are just like, what's the address? What do you want for it? Blah, blah, blah. And hey, I'll send you an offer. And it's, if you actually, for people that have the time, they're going to spend with you on the phone, I mean, you're really building that rapport with the person.
Well, it depends on the industry. I mean, what he's doing is wholesaling. I think it's probably more important. You're getting somebody to sell their house at 50 cents on the dollar. So
yeah, it's in a tough spot.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, yeah, anyway, that's.
So as we're kind of following up here or finishing up, how can our listeners learn more about you and all your businesses, your training programs?
DavidIHill.com is my main website. David I Hill, I stand for Isaac. And then also we have a link tree, which is davidhill.link. Usually everything that we have going on is on the link tree. So it's pretty easy to get in touch with me. And on all socials, it's at David I Hill, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything is at David I Hill. So super, super easy to get in touch with me. Just remember David I for you, not me, David I Hill. And you can find me.
All right. I'll put all those links in the show notes and also for your webinar. And thank you so much for coming on today, David.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you. And thanks for the great questions.
Have a great rest of your day. Hi guys, it's Charles from the Global Investors Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're interested in getting involved with real estate, but you don't know where to begin, set up a free 30-minute strategy call with me at schedulecharles.com. That's schedulecharles.com. Thank you.
Nothing in this episode should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Any investment opportunities mentioned on this podcast are limited to accredited investors. Any investments will only be made with proper disclosure, subscription documentation, and are subject to all applicable laws. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of Syndication Superstars, LLC exclusively.